So I went ahead and paused the video so that I can fill in this information. And this is how it's going to look when it's filled in. So for every field, you're just going to need to put in the information pertaining to the patient. And for fields where you're not sure what they mean exactly, so if you're not sure what directed care means, you can just hold your mouse on top of the field and it gives you the definition for them. So I did that for things that I wasn't sure if they were self-explanatory or not. We went ahead and gave you the definitions for those fields. So this is the phase sheet. It has preliminary information about the patient. After you put in all this information, you're going to click on next. And the next section is ADLs, hygiene, and the contracted services, meaning home health or hospice. And over here, you're just going to choose the level of assistance that the patient needs with each ADL. Then you're going to choose whether they get a shower or a bath, and whoever helps the resident, whether it's the caregiver, the hospice CNA, or if the patient does it themselves. And lastly, you're going to be able to choose whether they have home health or hospice services. So in this case, I put that the patient, this desk patient, has home health services. And then you can put over here the type of services they receive. So in this case, the patient receives physical therapy, occupational therapy, and nursing visits. And they're all 1 hour, one time per week. And all these fields you can change yourself. It's very easy. It's drop boxes, or that you can delete and manually put in the time and the frequency that they're receiving these services. And then you click on next. And the next section is a body assessment. And this is also very easy, self-explanatory. It's just going to ask you information about the patient's health. For example, the vision. Does the patient wear glasses? Do they have impaired vision? Do they have normal vision? And it pretty much goes through the entire body assessment like that. And all this is information that you know already about your patient. So it takes a few minutes just to put it in. And for fields that might be difficult to understand, if you're not very familiar with the terms, again, I went ahead and added the definition. So aphasia is the loss of ability to understand or express speech. So a lot of these fields you're going to have the definitions for. After you complete this body assessment section, you click on next, and it's going to come to diet and medications. And also this is very easy. You just choose the type of diet the patient is on and whether they need assistance or not eating, and how much does the resident eat in terms of percentage, and then how much water they drink, and if the patient is encouraged to drink water and to eat their meals also. And over here, if the patient is diabetic, you can also choose these sections for diabetes. Also, right under is medications, and we don't list the medications on the service plan because they're constantly changing, and it would be very hard to keep track of every single change on the service plan. So we just have this note, and this is totally fine with the state. A lot of other service plan providers have the same thing. It's just to see the patient's current MAR, medication administration record, for current medications, so we don't have to list them on the actual service plan. However, these sections, they're pretty important, and most of your patients are going to have the same 4-1 selected. The resident receives staff assistance with medication self-administration. That means that you help your residents administer their medication, whether that is putting them in a cup or you give it to them, or anything that you help them receive their medications. And you can go ahead and read the other 4 sections that I selected. I usually just leave these 2 unselected, because most of the times the resident doesn't self-administer the medications, and most of the time the medications are not stored in the resident's room. So after you fill in this section, go ahead and click on next. So we're getting close to finishing with the service plan here. We're at 71% done. And this section is just additional information about the patient. You have strategies to ensure residents' personal safety, and you can just check whichever ones apply to your residents. Activities, and then communication with the POA, whether it's by phone, text, email, or in person, and then assistive devices. So your resident might have one or more of these assistive devices. And then if the device is not listed here for any reason, you can also click on other and then write in whatever device they have that's not listed over here. Okay, you click on next, and this is the very last section of the service plan. And so for this section, for the notes, you can actually type anything that you feel like you want to have included in your service plan that hasn't been included yet in the other fields. So you can literally type anything you want to have listed on the service plan. And after that, you have either the option to sign over here with your mouse, or your finger if you're doing it on a phone or a tablet. Or you can leave this section unsigned, and then you can sign this once you print out the service plan. So we can go ahead and click on submit, and your service plan is finished. You get this notification that says service plan details have been submitted successfully, and a registered nurse will be reviewing and signing the service plan within 1 business day. So let's see how it looks after the nurse reviews and signs your service plan.